don't know what this liquid is that's all over me that was under this mask, whether it's sweat.
Championship juice.
Hey everybody, Brian Zayn here. Well, it's been a long time, but as they say, I'm back in the saddle again, here to review WrestleMania 42 from Allegiant Stadium over Saturday and Sunday this past weekend in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's been quite a year since the last time I was in Vegas for Mania 41. I was starting to get really down on the product overall for WWE, and then shortly before SummerSlam, I made the decision to stop watching and reviewing the modern product across all the companies, really, just to give myself a break from that watching the shows, the discourse, having to engage in that. It wasn't my bag anymore, so I decided to wash my hands of it. It's been a great 8 months. I feel happier and more energetic in producing content for this channel than I have in a long time, and I don't plan on going back to covering modern stuff regularly, at least at any time soon. But, it'd feel weird, for me to miss reviewing WrestleMania. I've reviewed all the other ones except for a couple, 28 and 29. I'll get to those eventually, but you know what I mean. I've watched all the Manias. I've attended so many WrestleManias, so it would be weird to totally miss the show and also just to miss out reviewing and giving my thoughts on this big event for the channel, because I know a lot of you have been asking what my thoughts are, if I was going to watch it. I know a lot of you were asking if I was going to be in Las Vegas this year. I had no plans of being in Vegas until I was booked for JCW Stranglemania. So I was there for Friday night. I was there very briefly. Thanks to all of you who said hello if you were there in Vegas and saw me there. It was a really fun time. I was only there for one night. I did get some serious FOMO about some of the other goings-on, the other indie events happening that weekend, but the one night I was there was definitely good for my soul. It was great to, again, see so many cool people, run into a lot of folks I haven't seen in a while, getting out there to perform as Claude, as the guest referee in the Mickey Knuckles Kerry Morton match at Stranglemania was also a lot of fun. It was a very late night. I took some time to recover from that one night and sat and watched WrestleMania here at home. And yeah, now I'm going to give you my thoughts on this event. Now, because I am a very casual fan, a lapsed fan, as it were, I'm not 100% dialed in on all the build for every one of these matches. I know roughly, and I'm kind of going off of what they tell me on commentary here, because certainly WWE, the storytelling company, will do a fine job filling in the blanks that I have in, what story gaps I might be missing when it comes to this show. No star ratings for these matches, strictly going to go on vibes. Again, I'm just going to kind of look at things as if a casual fan, somebody who has watched a lot of WWE and is now coming back for the first time in a while, just to see what all the fuss is about. Lin-Manuel Miranda, the man behind Hamilton and In the Heights, among other things. He was the one who narrated the cold open for both nights of the shows. What a very funny pull that is. That had to have been like a Dwayne Johnson call, because they've worked together on Moana and whatnot. So for Lin-Manuel to describe WrestleMania as this big epic thing was so funny to me. There was a host for the weekend, John Cena. I thought that he did a fine job appearing when he did in his live events across both nights. And boy, he looks like he's running for public office in that suit, doesn't he? He looks like he belongs, on one of the cable news networks to talk about his campaign. Also, watching him trying to run down the ramp like, John Cena style in the suit was funny. It's like he was trapped in there for the longest time. Your opening match for night one was the Usos and LA Knight taking on The Vision. That's Austin Theory, Logan Paul, and iShowSpeed. Oh goody! This is what WrestleMania is all about. The streamers and the TikTokers and the social media stars. I knew that the Usos reunited this past year, but I didn't realize that the theme had now been remixed to "It's You and Me, Us," day one-ish. Oh my God, this 9-way split screen they had for the Vision's entrance was legitimately nauseating. Also, I don't think it was a good idea for commentary to mention that, wow, 3 years ago on this very stage, Austin Theory beat John Cena. I would have kept that quiet, because all you're doing is exposing how little that did for that man's career. And I'll tell you what, I feel like Logan Paul and Austin Theory I feel that this was a duo that was destined to come together anyway, but the fact that they are in the vision is simply a matter of circumstance, and they were trying to fill gaps because of like the Seth Rollins injury, the Braun Breaker injury. We gotta keep bringing people in, so like now that's why Austin Theory and Logan Paul are in it. Otherwise they wouldn't be. iShowSpeed is playing the athletic coward pretty well in this matchup. Like, he clearly is out of his element and doesn't really want to fight, but to his credit, whenever he does do an offensive move, the crowd is like, oh, they couldn't believe he did a body slam at one point. There's one part where Wade goes, no match was ever won with a body slam. And like, I immediately go, wait a minute, didn't y'all just celebrate a match the night before at the Hall of Fame, which has been forever defined by a body slam? And even like Michael Cole calls him out for that a couple minutes later. Then Wade's like, well, yeah, and then it was followed up by the leg drop. All throughout the match, Theory and Logan are kind of bullying Speed, like they're kind of bossing him around because he's so inept in there. They want him to hit LA Knight at one point, but for whatever reason, Speed doesn't want to do it. That wasn't really made clear why he stopped himself. Los Angeles is able to fight out of it. He hits Theory with the BFT to win for his team. And then after the bell, you got Logan Paul is pissed at his partner. He hits Speed with his, his titanium fist. But then the Usos and LA Knight return to save the day. The Usos kind of hit a 1D on Logan Paul there. Greatest tag team in WWE history, they say. And so then they put him on, Logan Paul that is, on the announce table. They convince Speed to get up on the top turnbuckle and dive off. Through the table he goes. What a big, I guess you could call that a WrestleMania moment. It's more of a social media moment. I mean, this was like by design to be the first match with some of the most like popular stars in the Usos and LA Knight, with the most like viral or the most, built-in social media stars in Speed and Logan Paul. Get that out of the way so everyone else who doesn't really give a fuck about wrestling can tune out and say they watched that one match. I thought it was fine. I mean, boy, what a crazy fall from grace for Jey Uso to go from opening Mania and winning the world title, to opening Mania as part of a six-man with some social media stars. And he's back teaming with his brother now. So much for that main event push he had. I thought, again, it was a fine match, and that's the case with most of these matches, is that they are mostly fine. But then we get our first big slate of ad breaks, and also every ad break on this night of the show has a 5-minute insert previewing the Hulk Hogan documentary on Netflix. So we are getting between every match a big old chunk of just time to get up and stop watching or stop caring. I'm glad that, WWE gave the live crowd so many opportunities to get up and get snacks and merch and whatever. But I tell you what, from the home viewer perspective, this was something that as the time went on throughout the whole night was getting me more upset. Because look, WWE ads, we know it's there. We know it's happening. We've been seeing this get bigger and bigger since WrestleMania 40. I think that is part of the reason I stopped watching, because it was getting to be more commercials than actual, sports entertainment. And this show really just kind of reinforced that for me, because on a show that should have some promos, some hype packages to, build up matches and help fill in those blank spots for people like me who haven't been watching the product on a regular basis. Give us some juice, man. Give us some of that WrestleMania magic.
Championship juice.
We're not really getting that on this night. Hey, the matches are fine when you can get them, but there's all these big old breaks in between that to me just absolutely kills the flow. Up next, there's an unsanctioned match between Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu. Hey, if you're like me and haven't been watching for the last several months, did you know that Drew McIntyre at one point had regained the WWE Championship? Yeah, you would think that would have been a bigger deal, but he ended up losing it back to Cody, in part thanks to Jacob Fatu. And you know what? It comes up often, but it's definitely worth pointing out here. There's an awful lot of production going into this unsanctioned match where WWE is washing their hands legally of any wrongdoing. Oh, but we'll dump thousands of dollars into, having Drew kick down a big old wall. I'm surprised they didn't get that wall sponsored by Kool-Aid or something. Also, I was shocked that Jacob Fatu, his first action was to do like a suicide dive to the outside while Drew was carrying his sword. Like, what if Drew just went like, whoop, like that, whoop, the toolbox comes out early. They make it clear that that is a big part of their story, this telltale toolbox. McIntyre's flying through the air. Fatu's flying through the air. It's really cool to see these guys in their element and doing their thing here. Drew at one point grabs the referee's belt, like he tells him to take it off. He starts to whip Fatu with it. Then, of course, Fatu, you know the rule. If a belt comes out, one person gets a turn, then the other person has to get their licks in too. It's only fair. At one point, Jacob kicks out of the Claymore. He's climbing to the top rope. Drew shoves him off, and then Fatu falls through the Chekhov's Slim Jim table. He done snapped into it, but Jacob's able to fight back. He dinks Drew with that toolbox again, hits the mighty moonsault through another table in the ring to win that matchup. I thought, like I said, very entertaining, hard-hitting Hoss fight. You need something like that where it's just boom, 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 big meaty men, etc., to get the juices flowing. And I think this match definitely accomplished that. What's the difference between an unsanctioned match and a street fight in WWE? You tell me. And hey, Drew, I'm sorry that you lost, but don't worry, because that just means more chumba time for me. I thought that was unbelievable that they ran that ad immediately after Drew's match where he just got his ass kicked. That was incredible. Well, it's time for the Wrestlemania tradition, a fatal four-way for the women's tag team titles. I thought there was a funny bit of one-upswomanship between Alexa Bliss and Charlotte. Alexa comes out with her, her moth wings, her little tribute to Bray Wyatt on the back of her gear and everything, only to be outdone by Charlotte coming out with like a fucking two-tiered double butterfly robe or something like that. Cole is going over all of Charlotte's Wrestlemania accolades during their entrance. I thought it was weird that he just kind of omitted the first Mania she worked at 32 when she, won the belt that they just made for her. Also, it was really cool to see Axe and Smash in the front row cheering on Nia Jax and Lash legend, the Irresistible Forces, as they came out with their Demolition-inspired entrance gear. That was really cool. The Bella Twins come out last. We see that Nikki still has a busted up ankle. She was very questionable in the days leading up to the event. She says, I wasn't medically cleared to compete tonight, but I didn't want to ruin Brie's WrestleMania moment, so we called in an old friend to come back and be her replacement. And Paige here, that's right, the former multiple-time champion, the young prodigy, formerly known as Saraya, formerly known as Paige, is back in WWE under the name once again. Big response for her coming back. It was, last time we saw her, she had a run in AEW. It was an interesting run. I wouldn't necessarily call it a great one. This match is fine. Like, everyone's getting a good amount of time to shine here. I did hate how they got set up for Brie Bella's yes kicks. Like, let's scoot our way into position. We get a lot of powdering across multiple teams here, just people just kind of laying out and just not doing anything for several minutes. Brie gets back for the first time in a while and hit this big missile drop kick. The moment that Paige is officially tagged in for the first time all match, huge pop. Oh man, they were really happy to see her get this big hot tag. She counters out of the Nightwing, hits the Paige Turner. We get this face-off with Paige and Charlotte. There is history there. Hey, Team PCB, baby. So in the end, Alexa is going up top, but she's distracted by Nikki Bella pulling Charlotte out of the ring and beating her up with a crutch. Okay, I guess that's legal and fine, whatever. So then you've got Paige putting the knees up. She hits the cradle DDT onto Alexa, pins and wins, and the Bellas / Paige are the new tag team champions. I don't think it was the worst thing in the world. I would love to see a WrestleMania storyline for the women's tag team championships involving two teams instead of just, hey, we got to throw some ladies on here. Let's get every team we could think of, even the ones that don't make sense. Fun trivia fact, Paige becomes the first woman to win a championship both at All In and WrestleMania. So Boffo work for her. And again, I think that it's great that she is back. The AEW run wasn't a great fit for her, but in WWE, where she has all this history with so many people, I think that it's going to be a better fit for her. Then we get the big gauntlet of ads and stuff, which begins with this live appearance from, the Mandalorian and Grogu are sitting in the front row. Oh, fuck off. Now you do cross promotion with the Mandalorian now that you don't have somebody in your roster on their cast? For the Women's Intercontinental Championship, AJ Lee defends against Becky Lynch. And the story that they've been having for the last 7 or 8 months or so is that AJ has really had Becky's number and has made her tap out to the Black Widow multiple times. So seems like it's kind of a do or die situation for Bex here. I thought it was really cute to see AJ coming out with the little kids dressed as her, doing the skipping and having the belt and all that stuff. That was really sweet. It's very overt symbolism, but it's very cool to see AJ kind of bridging that gap between, the fans who were that age in her prime when she was first wrestling, and now this new generation of kids who are fans and get to see her in action. I thought that was a really sweet moment. The big story in this match is this ongoing beef that Becky has with the referee, Jessica Carr. She believes there is a conspiracy against her, and so now there's a lot of interaction between the two of them in this matchup. A lot of hard-hitting back-and-forthy throughout. The big story is that AJ keeps trying to apply the Black Widow here. There's a crazy moment where AJ goes to the hold and Becky just kind of spins around and slings her into the corner. I thought that was a cool counter. Becky gets too aggressive. Referee gets in her face. Becky gives a shove. Jessica gives her a shove back. It almost costs her. Jessica is lightly smooshed. That gives Becky the opportunity to throw AJ face first into the exposed turnbuckle from earlier. She hits the manhandle slam handle. She wins to regain the IC title, and Wade Barrett on commentary has a hearty laugh. This is a good match. I think these two really worked well against each other, and if this is the blow-off and the end, I think that it was a fine way to go about it. I do think that the match was interrupted too much by the stuff with Lynch and Jessica Carr. That was a bigger story, I think, than AJ really being there at all, frankly. I don't know how much left AJ has in this return run of hers. I would like to see, I'd like to see her go against other people, because it's been almost exclusively with Becky Lynch for the most part of her run, it seems. So yeah, let's hope that maybe she gets a few more other opponents under her belt before she's done. We get more ads, we show more celebrities at ringside. George Kittle has stolen his second or third beer of the night so far on the air. And then we go to our next matchup here, Seth Rollins versus Gunther, which is it's a matchup of circumstance. It's a matchup of two guys who honestly deserve better than to be where they are on this show. Seth Rollins is a tricky spot because he's coming out of injury and they got to put him somewhere. But as far as Gunther goes, how could you have booked Gunther to have the run that he's had in the last year and to not have something just ready to go, an angle, it's clearly defined, a vision for this guy going into the biggest show of the year? That to me is insulting. I'm seeing a lot of parallels, honestly, between Angle and Benoit at 17. Two guys, one of them a former champion with dick all to do leading into the show, and they're just kind of thrown in at the last minute here for this matchup. And again, with Gunther, I think it's ludicrous that this is kind of what he's as kind of a stopgap for Seth. For Seth, though, what a wacky trail we've been led on for him to get to this matchup. I feel like Seth is just the guy who fights other guys, and that's all he is. And let me explain what I mean by that. It just seems that so many of his WrestleMania matches and his feuds going into them are so what? Why do I care? Where's the heat? Where's the hook? What about his matches in particular? What do they resonate with you? What do you feel? I just feel it's a lack of there's a lack of feeling. I never feel anything when he has his big WrestleMania matches. And again, this match is a whole victim of, injury and trying to scramble and find places for both guys. But again, I feel that there could be something better for Seth. there's gotta be something better for Gunther. At least Seth's entrance looks cool with the all black contact lenses and the smoldering, smoking jacket or whatever. The match starts out with the big brawl. I love how Cole says, if you're looking for 5-star classics, you won't find one here. Gunther is really throwing his weight around with Seth all match, but Rollins is, showing the heart, showing some fire. He is able to buckle bomb Gunther at one point. Gunther hits 4 or 5 power bombs over the course of this matchup. It's a really interesting sequence where both guys are trying to do that pinfall bridge out of it, into the backslide, but instead Seth turns it into a pedigree, then the stomp. Gunther is able to kick out of that somehow. The O'Connor roll is countered into a sleeper attempt. Seth actually gets a sleeper on Gunther at one point, and they say, oh, shades of last year's WrestleMania. Will he tap like he tapped to Jey Uso for the title? Seth hits some dives. Gunther intercepts him, hits him with some power bombs. He does the pedigree and the stomp to the announce table. That's the same announce table, by the way, that iShowSpeed elbow dropped Logan Paul on earlier, and that collapsed then. This time it stays totally upright. Then after the stomp, out of nowhere, Braun Breaker spears Seth Rollins. The referee misses all that. And then he's thrown back in the ring and is choked out by Gunther. So, Gunther wins this matchup here. I thought it was a good match, good back and forth. I thought the drama they had was fine. They're stretching out this Seth Rollins Braun Breaker feud. I can understand why they are stretching it out, and they're probably going to push it to say SummerSlam. Again, victims of circumstance and the timing of the injuries. They probably could have forced their way into a Breaker Rollins match for Mania, and I think it would have been fine on minimal build. Lord knows, we just had this match with 0 build, so at least with Breaker and Seth, you could add a story attached to it. They showed off the Hall of Fame inductees for the year. Dennis Rodman, hey, you can check him off of my list from the list I made years ago about celebrities who should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. I did think it was a little nuts that they gave him 10 minutes to just babble incoherently, and meanwhile the family of Psycho Sid and Bad News Brown don't get anything. I thought it was weird that for, the moment with, Hogan and Andre, WrestleMania 3, you got Jimmy Hart coming out with Nick Hogan and Robin Rusimov, Andre's daughter, and they don't say anything. It's just Jimmy Hart going, hey baby, we outdrew the Rolling Stones and the Pope. Also, I thought it was great that Axe and Smash got into the Hall of Fame before they passed away, and AJ Styles' Hall of Fame speech brought a tear to my eye to hear his story about how he's going to be at home with his family again. That was really cool. For the Women's World Championship, Stephanie Vaquer defends against Liv Morgan. Now again, I don't watch all the build. I get most of my information on what's going on in the storylines from social media. Feels like this angle was kind of bordering on racist. The whole idea of putting down Stephanie's upbringing and where she learned to wrestle and all the bringing up of rodents and cockroaches and all this stuff. So then there's that, and then they pivot to, Liv Morgan's a pop star now? Why is it that in this deeply personal and emotional match of the championship, why does Liv Morgan have the time and the energy to also do this well choreographed and produced song and dance number before her match? Also, the crazy goose egg that Liv had on her forehead from that disgusting, noggin knocker she had with Roxanne Perez, still there on her forehead. It's amazing that both ladies are not concussed and are able to wrestle anymore. I thought it was kind of presumptuous for Stephanie to get confetti during her entrance. So anyway, the match it's good. It's they're not given a ton of time, but they just go full speed ahead from the opening bell, and I really appreciate that. A lot of knee-based offense between both ladies. Stephanie even steals the Oblivion for a 2 count. Out comes Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez with the distractions. Liv almost walks away with it, but Stephanie is able to kick out, and then she's able to thwart the Judgment Day shenanigans, and then she just hot dogs on the outside for just way too long. She's just like, I'm here, ready to get attacked. And sure enough, Liv jumps her and then hits her with the Oblivion back in the ring to win and regain the championship. I liked the match, but I hated that finish because it really made Stephanie it deflated her. It made her look so dumb in that moment. I don't know if it was a thing of just Liv, them milking that moment for too long or what. I don't know. Just from that moment, it is a very big telegraph to me, and that kind of took me out of it. Then we get John Cena back in the ring to talk about the night's attendance, and he says this number was speculated about a lot for the last couple of weeks. Again, I wouldn't have said that out loud. Why are you talking about that in the build and at the show? Anyway, so he announces the attendance for the event, and then suddenly we hear Bianca Belair's music. Oh, this is cool. We haven't seen or heard from her in literal months. We know she was out for a long time with that finger injury, but she was still gone, so what's the status? She shows up and she says, well, you can't have WrestleMania without EST. And hey, you got the number wrong. There's one other person you have to add to the attendance number. And then she takes off like this part of her gown. And gosh, I wonder why she was dressed so conservatively. It's to show the baby bump that Bianca Belair is pregante. And that was a really sweet moment. And John Cena said, thank you for sharing this moment with us. And that was really cool. Although I wonder, does that mean now if we're including, fetuses and babies that are in utero and everything, does that mean like, what about, there got to be other ladies out there who are pregnant, right? So that number will still maybe go up. Anyway, that was lovely sentiment. That explains why Bianca Belair's been gone for so long. And so mazel tov to her and Montez Ford. We get another ad break featuring 2 spots for Wheatley American Vodka, one of which features Carmelo Hayes and Jim Duggan as well for some reason. And then we go to our main event of night 1 for the undisputed WWE Championship as Cody Rhodes defends against his old mentor in Randy Orton. Hey guys, a promo package. Remember those? They saved it for this one. Finally, we get some exposition and some storytelling and trying to fill in the blanks of why we should give a fuck about these matches. That's been the biggest problem I've had with this show. The commentary can only do so much to fill you in on all these bullet points of their story as the match is going on. But sometimes you got to have video packages. And you would think that WWE, the king of the video package, undisputedly so, would pull out their best and brightest for their biggest show of the year. Well, fuck that. We got ads to sell, baby. I could not believe that this is the state of their show. And you know what? You can call me out and mock me for bitching about this all you want. I'm sick of bitching about it too. But this is a legitimate issue that I and many others had with this fucking show. Stop selling me stuff. Stop selling me products. Stop selling me brands. Sell me the fucking wrestling. Then, let's talk about the build for this match, by the way. You would think that it's a slam dunk, easy way to tell a story about Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. I mean, God, these guys have been intertwined since the beginning of Cody's career. His first on-air bit on Monday Night Raw featured Randy Orton. And, talk about legacy. You talk about, the feud when Cody was disfigured. You talk about the history these guys have and where Cody went to be his own man and he came back and all that stuff. You can talk so much about that. But then what do they end up doing? They got Jelly Roll trying to be the voice of reason. Randy, why are you acting like this? Who's telling you these things? You've got Pat McAfee being the outside voice, talking to Randy Orton, and Pat McAfee says, hey, WWE, you've been on this huge run lately. You're on fire right now. Well, this guy who's been the fucking leader of this whole thing, Cody Rhodes, yeah, he blows goats. And that's why wrestling's actually not that good right now. By the way, no one's buying tickets to Mania because of you. You should all buy tickets to not see the show. What the fuck? This whole build, as I've been watching from afar, it is almost parody. It is almost satirical for them to go to the well of, please, you need to help us because we're not buying, you aren't buying enough tickets because we made the prices too expensive. And now we're going to call out on it. And obviously it's not WWE's fault, it's TKO. I know there's that separation. And I think that's going to be a big story for the next several years, is this battle between WWE and TKO. I do not want to see it played out on the show, because who's your representative of TKO? What's the point of that war, right? Who's gonna It's all the same. The money's flowing all the same companies, and you're seeing none of it. And the whole idea of, the Attitude Era was the best era, and you know who's going to bring that back? Randy Orton, the guy who never ever wrestled in the Attitude Era. And also, by the way, Randy Orton, not necessarily a proven draw. Like, okay, Pat McAfee says that Orton's going to save WWE. From what? Being interesting? And again, you can put the blame on TKO all you want for this, deservedly so, for them shoehorning Pat McAfee into this main event story. It sucks, but you've seen that room full of people at Unreal. Surely amongst that crack team of individuals, somebody or some people would be able to form a storyline involving Pat McAfee that is not so insulting to the history between these men and also to the fans. Hey, our current shit sucks. You should buy a ticket, and you should also wait here for this guy who's been here since before the current champion. He's gonna save us all. Oh yeah, I wanna plop down some money for that. And furthermore, why is the babyface champion, Cody Rhodes, being booed as a result of this? It's not a situation where it's like, and we'll get to this, the Sami Zayn thing on night 2. It's like Cody's being booked as a face, he's getting booed. Randy Orton is being booked as a detestable heel, he's being cheered. This is not the first time this sort of thing has happened. I mean, Lord knows the company ran this out with John Cena for years. It is not the end of the world that Cody is starting to get booed whilst trying to stay true to his babyface self. This can be fixed, or they can just push through and write it out John Cena and Roman Reigns style. Or they could eventually turn Cody at some point. I don't know what's going to happen from here. But yeah, Jelly Roll, Pat McAfee, how do these guys further sell me to this match or make it more interesting? Deborah being involved with Rock and Austin for a few weeks made me more interested in that matchup than these guys would for this. And I do believe that this one guy you can hear in the crowd perfectly captures the overall sentiment. We get the big LED snaky snake wrapping around like the set and everything. I'm glad it wasn't just the giant sperm going down the ramp like in years past. Also, for Cody's entrance, we get like the Hall of Cody. It's like this Captain America like superhero base where you've got all like the mannequins with the different Cody outfits, and they show like clips of him during those eras. And they must have like done like an actual like mold of Cody's face for the mannequins, but it looks so sad. These like melting, pouty death masks they used for Cody for these mannequins. And oh my God, don't look directly into the Stardust mannequin. Before the match begins, Pat McAfee grabs the mic from the ring announcer and hypes up his boy Orton. And here's the thing. I think that Pat McAfee is actually really good in this particular role. He's a great, obnoxious heel, manager, mouthpiece character. He is perfect with what he's doing at this point. I don't think he's with the perfect person. I think this is beneath Orton. I think this whole storyline, Pat McAfee doesn't need to be here, but I think the character in another context is fine. Also, how is this meant to be the gateway to making Pat McAfee America's next Stallone, allegedly? Like, yeah, let's make him this really shitty, obnoxious character. There's boos for Cody during his introduction, but those same fans are all going, whoa, during his entrance, so fuck them. McAfee grabs the mic and then he pelts Cody with it, and so we get this brawl. Before the bell officially rings, Cody ends up fighting back. He hits the crossroads on McAfee, and then we go to the outside. Cody's looking around thinking of what to do. Then all of a sudden, like, the camera pans, and Jelly Roll has just materialized out of nowhere. Where's he been this whole time? He just shows up, he drops the elbow from one table to the other. That time, the table collapses, but not when they did the pedigree earlier with the wrestlers. So as everything has stopped and the EMTs are loading Pat onto the gurney, I'm sitting here going, like, man, if you're like me and you've been just out of the loop and haven't watched the product for several months, you might be sitting going, what the fuck do Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll have to do with the WWE title? So the match finally actually begins. The crowd is pretty quiet for the match at this point. The big story here is that Orton is selling his back. There were a lot of rumors they were talking about that Orton's back may not be at 100%. And so Cody works on that a lot. And, Orton's doing a lot of selling as well. Like even his own moves are hurting him as well. Dare I say, he is almost working a little bit baby in the course of this matchup here. Orton gets shoved right into the vodka logo on the outside and he starts to bleed. And Cody's looking around at this point. He kind of looks around like responding to the boos like, why are you booing me? Like, I don't know, man. You just drew blood from your opponent. Like you wiped the blood off his head and onto your own chest and then you stole his finisher. Wow, what a mystery. There's a great sequence where each guy wants to steal the other guy's move, but they can't get away with it. Then the other dude jacks their move. I thought that was funny. There's a point where there's trading strikes. Cody, the babyface, gives Orton a thumb to the eye. Orton's blinded and then just all of a sudden hits the referee with the RKO. Just like, oh, Cody's behind me now, I think, because I'm blinded. Orton wants to take Cody to Dick Kick City. Cody stops him, takes him there himself. The Cody cutter is countered into another RKO. Orton's got the cover. There's no referee. Suddenly we see Pat McAfee making his way down the aisle with a referee shirt and a neck brace, like Kaufman-style ridiculousness. He comes in and make the count, but Cody still kicks at it too. Orton, again, if you're doing a heel ref shtick, why don't you just count fast? Orton hits Pat with the RKO. Like, Randy, that's your boy. What are you doing? Are you stupid? Sure enough, Cody takes advantage of this, hits Crossroads one time on Orton. The other referee gets up and makes the count, and Cody wins. Okay, then. And then, after the bell, Orton gets back up. He dinks Cody with the belt. He hits him with the punt, which gets the biggest reaction at anything they did the entire matchup. And I'm thinking, wow, wouldn't that have been nice if you chose to do that during the match instead of waiting until afterward? Oh my God. And then just before it fades to black, Michael Cole says, so much for brother Cody. What? Like, yo, so much for brother Cody happened weeks ago. Like, we are well past the betrayal of the brother thing. What a strange place to end on. Like, such an underwhelming end to an underwhelming show. I don't want to say that night one of this Mania was awful, but it was not fun to get through. Just a lot of mid-level matches, not a lot doing much for me. It's like low on moments, low on spectacle. Like it's ads and match and ads and match and no story, no characters, none of the things that make WrestleMania WrestleMania. And after this night, after the completely ass-backwards booking of Cody and Orton and the mess they got themselves into, putting that story together and fleshing everything out, what a fucking bonkers, not fun match that was to get through. And if night two is anything like night one, we could be in for a long night two. On to Sunday, night two of WrestleMania. They made a big deal of the fact that this night was airing entirely on ESPN. That's right, its viewers can go to the show, and just not its reporters. We get another cold open from Lin-Manuel, and it's kind of a sequel to the last one, where a follow-up where he goes, "You felt it last night, didn't you?" Yeah, I felt like I didn't even pay to watch the show and I still wanted my money back. So John Cena comes out to welcome the fans once again. I noticed he was power walking down the ramp this time, not trying to do a run. And he showed off the new LED set for WrestleMania, the new color scheme. I like that, by the way. The blue kind of bathing the whole stadium later in the night. That was pretty nice. And then we had the first match of the evening, Femi versus Brock Lesnar. And holy shit, this is a match that I am really excited for going into it because it is literally like a meeting of wrestling's past meeting its present and future. And, it's a big fight feel between two large men. And I think it's that kind of just it's that meeting of two very similar styles that I think is going to make for a very fun match. And all I could think of during Femi's entrance was, boy, that's a long ramp to do that. Walk down. Like, you could see by the end he was losing his form. Like, he was getting kind of blown up just doing this for, 50, 60 yards. They're doing the introductions. Paul Heyman grabs the mic and calls Brock the real ruler of WrestleMania. The match begins with some sturdy lockups. They take turns shoving each other. Lesnar starts throwing some big, meaty clotheslines. Oba's not moving, and then suddenly he hits the ropes and clotheslines. Lesnar knocks him down, and Lesnar is totally frazzled, totally shaken by this. I love this audio you can hear from Heyman when he's trying to console Lesnar. He goes, "He's not human. Oh my God!" As Oba comes in to try and grab him. Then Lesnar cuts him off. He throws him around a little bit on the outside, hits a few of his suplexes, and then you've got this moment where Oba's coming back. He's hitting him with those running attacks in the corner. He jumps up. Lesnar catches him, hits the F5. Somehow Oba still gets up, like he is barely affected by this. He grabs Lesnar, hits him with the choke slam, the fall from grace powerbomb, and Oba wins. And that reaction that Oba had, even he couldn't believe it. That was a really, really awesome moment. And, it's that Lesnar style of big move, big move, big move. And I tell you what, Lesnar, for all the guff people have about his style and how he wrestles these days, when he sells and when someone goes over on him, he is very good at making them look like $1 million. And so he did his job very well. It was just an amazing thing to see that. And it was such a huge, it's a big passing of the torch moment, obviously, with something like that. And then after, Oba leaves and he does kind of the tip of the cap to Lesnar, we then see Lesnar sitting in the ring. He kind of looks up, says something quietly to himself. He takes off the gloves. He takes off the boots. And it sure seems like he is walking away. He waved to the fans, did kind of a victory lap, hugged Heyman, slowly made his way up. And yeah, that's a crazy thing to see. Honestly, this opening match and the moment afterward, that was more interesting than anything that happened on night one of WrestleMania. Just again, for the magnitude of it, for the moment that they're giving this young guy, Femi, they literally say on commentary, he's the next big thing. If that's not a big endorsement or boom, putting that stamp on him, I don't know what is. If they play their cards right, he's going to be a big star for them for a very long time. My sample size of what I've seen of his is pretty limited, but what I see in all the internet chatter, what I saw at Saturday night's main event when he fought Cody, and in this match, for instance, you see it. It's there. And I think that, as he gets older and more seasoned, it's going to be a really interesting run for him. I thought that was, again, really huge moment. As for Lesnar retiring, obviously he's got his issues that a lot of people don't like about him, both in the ring and out of it. I think that for someone like me who was captivated by Lesnar when he first showed up in his rookie year and just had an incredibly dominating presence, he was unlike anything I'd ever seen. And so I was so mesmerized by that first couple of years of him in WWE, and was very excited to see him come back when he did. Obviously, it's been kind of a diminishing returns with him ever since he came back. But what a career he's had. He's a complicated figure for sure. He's not my favorite much anymore, but I can recognize the impact he had on me when I was younger, and the impact he's had just in WWE for his presence. So, this is the end then. Congratulations to Brock. Coming up next, a 6-man ladder match for Penta's Intercontinental Championship. And one thing that struck me as odd right away is that 3 of the guys didn't even get entrances, including Dragon Lee, who apparently had WrestleMania gear, big wings and shit that only the live audience got to see, no one watching on air. And that sucks. That's the whole reason you have WrestleMania. You have to have the big entrances and stuff. I was pissed when I saw that. Also, is it weird to anyone else that Rusev got a spot at WrestleMania, but Aleister Black still didn't get one? I thought Penta's pre-entrance video where he's putting on the Shao Kahn inspired inspired entrance gear was cool. But then when he's out there live and he's trying to do his like taunt on the stage, I think he moves his mouth too much and the mask starts to fall. He has to catch it. Like, oh, I felt bad for him for that. Cody had the same problem as well the night before when he came out. He had to hold on to his special like winged skull helmet because it was just too big. And this match is just wall-to-wall chaos. First thing I have to ask, so did Dragon Lee, Rey Mysterio, and Penta intentionally coordinate their gear or no? Javon Evans, wow. I would call him the MVP of this ladder match. He is so nimble, so fun to watch in everything he does in this matchup. One highlight for me was hearing a Rusev Day chant at one point when Rusev was on a big run. My favorite moment of this match, though, has to be, it's kind of early on, like Javon is on the apron, Dragon Lee Rana's him inside to outside, and Javon lands on another guy, and then Dragon Lee just lands and just walks right into the shot. Like, that was so insane. Also, I noticed that when they went up to the top of the ladder, like there was like a golden spotlight like shining on the belt. That's kind of a neat feature. Like when you're up there, you're literally like bathed in the golden light, brother. Crazy stuff with Dragon Lee and Javon working like off of Rey Mysterio, who's like hanging upside down on a ladder at one point. Oh my God. Early in the match, they set up Chekhov's ladder bridge. Penta vaults Rey over the ropes into Rusev's arms on the apron, and they both go crashing through that ladder. That was crazy. Then later we see Penta hitting a destroyer off of a ladder onto JD McDonough, onto another ladder bridge. Javon hitting this big OG cutter from the corner to Rusev off the ladder. Ah man, Rusev, if only you didn't slightly lean out in order to take that cutter, he wouldn't hit you with it. In the end, Penta hits another destroyer on Javon. He's able to climb the ladder, pull down the belt to win and retain. I thought it was an awesome ladder match. You know, if you're not going to give me a lot of story, you better give me a lot of action. And that's what this match absolutely had. It was one of the more exciting multi-man ladder matches I've seen in a minute. And again, lots of big highlights from like Dragon Lee, Javon Evans, Penta. In particular, I thought that, Rusev was a great, base for a lot of stuff. And Rey was a great presence in that match as well. It was just really good stuff all around. For the U.S. Championship, Sami Zayn is defending against Trick Williams. Now, here's something that kind of caught me by surprise in the time between when I was watching last to where we are now. Sami Zayn is getting booed now. And it feels like this is kind of in response to the growing, anti-Sami sentiment. This seems to happen a lot. I see like online when fans will, want somebody to get pushes and get moments and everything. And then when they finally get them, then there's this thing where the fans will say, okay, that's enough, go on to the next now. And then I feel that has kind of happened to an extent with Sami here. And I think people maybe thought that he was too much of a kind of a Rey Mysterio in 06 figure, I guess, like an underdog who won too much is kind of my understanding of it. And then there was on SmackDown where he wins the US title off of Carmelo Hayes in this kind of heelish circumstance. And now Carmelo's not even on the WrestleMania card, so people were pissed at that. Again, like, Sami is taking the brunt of this effort being made by the booking. Like, it's not Sami's fault that Carmelo's not working Mania or any of the things that is happening to Sami in terms of booking. This is just how the cards he's been dealt. And so, but now it seems like they're doing this kind of like justified babyface, why are you booing me, I'm right, sort of thing with Sami. And that is very interesting. It's not like, it's more of a, it feels like more of a subdued and kind of like leveled version of like conspiracy theory Sami. Rapper Lil Yachty introduces Trick Williams, and they do this kind of like camera trick where they show him on the platform, they cut away, and then when they cut back to him, he's got this giant train attached to his trademark white coat now as he goes down the ramp. That was kind of neat. Yachty is staying at ringside for this one here. Solid back and forth for most of this matchup. Sami starts to get aggressive, lets some of that heel nature out, and then as Yachty goes to check on Trick, like on the ropes or whatever, Sami goes out and just wrecks Lil Yachty. He like throws him really hard into that barricade, and boy, good on Yachty for the way he just took that bump, bam, flat against the barricade and sold it. Sadly, the crowd didn't sound like they cared all that much. Zayn with a big brainbuster on the apron. He almost wins by count out, and so he wants to go in for the kill. Yachty hits him with a guillotine that almost costs him, but not quite. Sami goes for his haluva kick one more time, but Trick hits him with his shot. Cover and win. Trick Williams is the new U.S. champion. Oh man, that was a short-ish match, but it told a really good story. Not sure why Lil Yachty was out there, but fine, he served his role well enough. Big time moment for Trick Williams, another guy who, like Obafemi, is getting this big, elevating moment on one of the biggest stages possible. And it's just, it's really cool to see. We see George Kittle and Rob Gronkowski having a drink off. What a WrestleMania moment, Maggle. Up next, it's a street fight as Dirty Dom Mysterio takes on the Demon, Finn Balor. First time in 3 years that Finn pulls off the Demon variant. And this is a match that is literally over a year in the making. This is a match that I'm sure, even back last year when I was there for WrestleMania and Dominik beat Finn for the IC title, I'm like, surely the blow-off's going to happen any minute now, right? And no, they've just kept going with it. So now, Finn's been kicked out of Judgment Day now, and he's going to be the Demon. I thought that Dom's entrance was so cool, being accompanied by the army of luchadors. It's a bunch of lucha workers who all wore the singular mask to come out with him, and they all get to have their gear on underneath. I thought that was really cool. Hey guys, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Finn Balor is a demon now. It says right there on his back in case you forgot. They're trading momentum a lot back and forth early on. Once the weapons come into play, Dom starts to take over. At one point he hits a frog splash and there's a kick out at 1. Dom puts the demon through a table, hits a 619 with a chair assist, another frog splash, still kicks out at 2. And so Dom's trying everything. He even beats the bejesus out of Finn with a chair, but even that's not enough. Finn fights back. He hits him with the chair, his own, multiple times. Finn drop kicks Dom with the chair wrapped around his neck, hits the coup de Gracie through a table, and that's all she wrote. Finn with the win. Again, fun match. It's, it was pretty one-sided, all told, but the fans wanted to see the Demon. First time in a while they've seen it. It's always fun to see Dom getting his. And I thought those two definitely delivered. Well, this part nearly made me sick. Some guy named Adam Weitzman joining commentary for this matchup, and it's amazing what money will get you. This guy didn't even have a microphone on his headset. He just paid some money to be a Priority Whatever member, and he got to sit next to Cole and Wade Barrett for this matchup. Jesus. At what point is WWE going to go the Shindy route and just book a battle royal to anyone who's willing to pay some exorbitant amount of money? Fans, workers be damned. Coming up next for the Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley challenges Jade Cargill in a real battle of two of the biggest and strongest ladies in WWE. It definitely looks good on paper. See how it turns out here. Early on, Jade is just dominating, overpowering Rhea, but I did love this capoeira kick that she does to kind of get some space. We get run-ins later on from Michin and B-Fab, who they explain is part of, Jade's posse now. Jade even hits the one-winged angel, or they call it the sandstorm, and Rhea kicks out of that. I thought that was very neat. Then out comes Io Sky, not booked to wrestle tonight, but she is able to save the day and help Rhea out while trying to keep her top on. There's a great back and forth sequence at the end, wrapping up with the Riptide from Ripley. She pins to win and once again becomes champion. This was a really good matchup here. It's the best one I've seen from Cargill in a minute. It's been a while since I've seen any of these people wrestle, but I think that these two really worked well together. I thought, the moves were crisp. The story with Michin and B-Fab getting involved, it was a good way to get them and Io especially involved. Kind of criminal. She wasn't even booked for the whole weekend. But again, fine showing for Jade, and Rhea showing why she is as high on the card as she is in the division. And yeah, big win for her. We get even more commercials, and then, good Lord, I swear 2 or 3 times after the Oba-Brock match, they would show you a replay, later in the show, hey, this thing happened in the first match. Now we get it, okay? let the moment breathe a bit, why don't you? Then we get John Cena back in the ring to once again announce the attendance. And I think all told, the total number for 2 nights is only like $8,000 or $6,000 less than what the attendance was reported for last year. But then again, keep in mind, it was a struggle to get them to that part of the finish line with all like the discounted ticket sales and all that in the weeks leading up to it. So anyway, John is about to wrap it up. He's given a heartfelt message to the fans when suddenly The Miz and Kit Wilson interrupt, and The Miz says he wants his WrestleMania moment, damn it. And so Cena's like, okay, well, I'll give you the floor. Floor is yours. And so Miz is about to speak when suddenly we hear Danhausen's theme. And then we look up on the stage and we see a bunch of mini Danhausens. It's some of the Micromania guys getting some work. And Cole's like, before you people complain about it on social media, they wanted us to call them midgets. That was funny. So then they do a dance. Danhausen comes out in his mobile and he drives down there on into the ring. This is tremendous. So Danhausen says hello and he shakes John Cena's hand, and then The Miz is just pissed about this and seeing Danhausen and the Littles here. He's like, if I wanted to see the Wizard of Oz, I'd go down the street, which got a great reaction from the fans. He sicks Kit Wilson on them, but one of the little guys just punches him in the dick, and then they dogpile him out of the ring, and then Danhausen punches The Miz in the dick, and then he does the 5-knuckle shufflehausen onto The Miz, and then Danhausen and Cena stand there in the ring looking at each other. We get the cheesy poof of smoke and the very not so graceful departure and exit by Danhausen and his troupe. Oh my God, what an amazing moment this was. Truly, like, as somebody who has been like there for so much of like Danhausen's rise over the last several years, it is nothing short of amazing that this guy has like made it to the top, made it to WWE. He's made it through the whole thing. Indies, ROH, AEW, WWE, just by being this character. Like, he has had to change nothing since he's taken on this version of Danhausen. And, he's dedicated himself to it. He's built this incredible following. And I thought it was amazing that AEW didn't know what to do with him. And when he first showed up to WWE, I was kind of nervous. Like, oh my God, like, does this administration, do these booking minds know what to do with Danhausen? Like, WWE doesn't seem like the kind of company at this point, like, to embrace the goofiness of Danhausen, but they've done a really good job. And like, considering how like polarizing his debut was in Elimination Chamber, for him to have now totally, been accepted by the fans, they're doing the "You Are Cursed" taunt with him, they're buying up his merch. Like, what a success story for Danhausen. It's like an easy win for WWE to acquire him. They don't have to do really anything with him, and he can just walk around and he can be their hype man. Like, it's a great gig, And again, congratulations to Danhausen. I can't be more proud or happy enough for him that he has like made it to this point just by being himself and just by like doing his own thing. For the World Heavyweight Championship, Charles Montgomery Punk defends against Roman Reigns. And hey, it's main event time, which means you get a promo package too. It's clear that, they really wanted to just really emphasize the main events of both nights and just kind of like, nuts to everything else across Saturday and Sunday. But man, what a build for this matchup, right? I mean, what's a bigger draw? What's a bigger hook for a storyline than you're old and I'm more of a star than you? Like, that's great. Like, ignoring the fact that like the average age of the WWE main eventer is way older now than it was like 15, 20 years ago. Roman Reigns and CM Punk aren't even that different in age. But also, it's the classic, don't tell everyone that your opponent's old, because then if that guy beats you, then an old guy beat you. Like, that was one of the first things I learned about cutting promos. One of the first things they tell you not to do when cutting promos, but that was a big part of it. And also the whole idea of like, oh, Roman says he's a bigger star than Punk. There are no fewer than 3 storylines in the course of this night where they said one of the things was, I'm a bigger star than you? Can we please come up with better motivations for these guys to fight each other? Who cares? CM Punk's entrance, he does get the AFI theme for like kind of a preamble to his actual entrance, which was really cool. And then he walks out, the entrance jacket he's wearing, it's got the tributes to some of the names from WWE that had died in the last year, as well as Bo Lueders, and the Harley Race tribute on the back. You've got the flags, you got the Larry patch. That was a really sweet tribute by Punk there without saying a word. And this match is great. It starts out slow, starts out with working the headlocks and whatnot. Not too long before they work their way outside. Great trading of momentum back and forth. Punk's doing a great job in this match of looking scrappy and abrasive and doing everything he can to kind of come from behind in this. And it makes him look so like such a great fighter, you know? At one point, he's hanging upside down from the turnbuckle and Roman blasts him with steel steps in full view of the referee, and he just lets it go, which is crazy to me. Like, yeah, I get referees letting things go in title matches, but like that was pretty extreme. Punk is bleeding after this. Roman then power bombs Punk through an announce table. Later on, Punk catches Roman with the GTS, and we get a kick out. We get a spear and a kick out. Roman is in shock, and he's like just dragging, he's pushing Punk's face into the mat because he's so frustrated. It's really good stuff. Punk goes to the outside. He steals the Ulafala from some guy. Maybe he was another high-rolling, guy who spent a lot of money, so he got to wear it. So Punk puts it on. He gets in the ring. He does the ooh-ah. He goes for a spear on Roman, but he catches him in the guillotine. They're trading like guillotine, Anaconda Vice, back to the guillotine. We get a surprise roll-up at one point. We get a kick out. These guys are just spent as hell. These two are in a war. CM Punk looks like he has been rolling in the dirt for the last half an hour. One of my favorite parts is like they're trading strikes. Punk goes for a headbutt and he sells it like, oh shit, like, yeah, you're not supposed to headbutt a member of the Samoan dynasty. Like that is very long-standing lore here. So anyway, Punk pulls a fast one, like he takes his tape off, throws it at Roman. The referee goes to pick it up, and Punk just punches him in the balls. Hits a DTS, still not enough. Punk does get a little revenge for the steps, doing the dive off the top rope through the announce table. He goes for the GTS combo, the one where he does it once, they bounce off the ropes, fall into the shoulder. It looks really fucking hack now the more he does it. Like the first time they ever saw him do that, that was great. But now every time they do it since then, it's like, oh, that's very much a work. So he's going for the second one, but he can't pull it off because he's too weak. Roman hits the super spear to lay him out, pins, wins, and he now becomes the champion, the holder of the belt that was created in part because the last time Roman held a belt, he was never around to defend it in the first fucking place. And wow, what a redemption story for Roman. What an arc he's had since losing the belt. What a great come from behind story he's had. In all seriousness, as the show runs off the air here, this was a fantastic match. This is easily the best match of both nights of WrestleMania by far. Like both guys wrestled like they had something to prove. CM Punk wrestling like it was his last match, like he was never going to get an opportunity like this again. And he wrestled like it, man. And Roman, I wouldn't say this was his greatest match or his greatest performance, but he and Punk do have a great chemistry, the back and forth, the close calls, the drama. It was all there. And so I would definitely say this is one of like the better WrestleMania main events. For certain. And there wasn't any screwiness, there was no outside interference, no Pat McAfee, no weird-ass booking with the ref situation. It was the way WrestleMania was meant to end. But man, what a difference a night makes. It felt like it was an entirely different team of individuals who booked night 2 as opposed to night 1. It was just more exciting matches, better execution, a main event that was 100 times better than the previous night's main event. Still a lot of structural issues across both nights I didn't like the glut of ads, the lack of things that make WrestleMania WrestleMania. Like just seeing a bunch of celebrities at ringside wasn't going to do it for me. Like seeing more character stuff, more things like what we saw with like Cena and Danhausen and Miz. Like that's a WrestleMania moment, not George Kittle stealing everyone's beers. So as a lapsed fan, I have to admit, watching these shows back, not a whole lot going on that makes me really want to dive back in to following the company, because there's so many of the things that I didn't like about their whole presentation on my way out of reviewing it have not only stuck around, it's gotten worse. And you know, obviously this weekend had some fun moments. Night 2 was far and away a stronger night than Night 1. It was cool to see certain stars get that really cool moment to shine. But like, if this is going to be the presentation for future WrestleManias going forward, I don't know. Count me out, because for a company that prides itself on like telling stories and we make movies, like not a lot of great movies were on display this past weekend. I think a lot of it stems from the fact that they've kind of overdone the 2-night format. They either need to do a better job balancing those nights, or they need to find a way to reconsolidate it. And I know like that's kind of wishing against anything. It's a false hope, because they're never going to put that genie back in the bottle now, you would think. But like, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to maximize and streamline this. Like, let's not go back to 8-hour Manias on one night. Can we just go back to like, 4 hours, 8 to 9 matches? Not everyone needs to get on the card because it's WrestleMania. Like, it was a necessity in 2020 because no one was going to watch 8 hours of empty arena footage. But ever since then, it felt like kind of a cash grab, kind of an opportunity to give more people chances, and it does. But then you have an issue like this weekend where it's like so weighted on one side that you have people like questioning everything about WWE. Like, don't get me wrong, Night 2 does not redeem Night 1 in any way, and nor does it, I think that overall it's like a fine weekend of Mania. Like, Night 1 definitely dragged it down. If we just had Night 2, that would be a different story. It'd be a stronger Mania, but combined, I don't think it was a great showing. And I don't know about you, but even though I'm not a fan of them going to Saudi Arabia next year, let's not have WrestleMania in Vegas anymore. Because if you're still going to keep your ticket prices as expensive as fuck, don't have it in a city that is also expensive as fuck, like Las Vegas. But what did you think of WrestleMania 42? And how about this review? What were some of your favorite matches and moments from WrestleMania, or the other things that took place during WrestleMania weekend in Las Vegas? If you saw it, I want to hear about it in the comments section. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe to Wrestling with Regret and hit that bell icon to get all the notifications. I'm Brian Zayn, and I'll see you next time.